Hey everybody, this is Dan Strong with Excel VBA is Fun. Today we have another question. This is from Scott, and he said, hey, I've got all these different panels with different widths, heights, and quantities. In this case, for a quantity of 4 with the 10 and an eighth by 33 and 5/8 width by height respectively, but he wants 4 of them, and then he might want 2 of this one and 4 of this. So he's like, how do I copy that over to sheet 1? And I'll zoom in on that as well. How do I copy it to sheet 1 to where if this first one is a quantity of 4, it is done 4 times. This by this times quantity of 1, then the same thing by quantity of 1, all 4 times. And then the next one would be done twice. This row would be done twice, and this would be 4. So let's create a loop that does that. So let's analyze how to do that. Alt F11. I have not looked at what he's already got so far. Sorry. So let's see here what we've got. Repeat entry. Looks like he has got something going on there. I do think we'll go ahead and start fresh, and maybe we can go back and analyze that later. Let's create a new module, and we'll just call this loop panels. It'll be our loop will be called loop panels. Now I will go and cheat, and I'm going to go ahead and he's declared this as a worksheet, and went ahead and defined it and everything. So that sounds pretty good. He's already got the last. Nope. I'm just going to take these. Let's go to module 4. So at least we've got our sheets declared, and sheet 1 and sheet 2 here. Now, so we need to get the last row on sheet 2. So let's get S. How about sheet 2? S2LR for last row equals sheet 2 dot cells rows dot count comma 1 dot end, and this is all defined on one of my videos on how to get the last row. So do a search on my channel on last row or next row, and you'll find some good content, but you need to memorize most of this line here, and then you'll be good to go. So this will give us the result of 17. That'll be our last row we need to do. And we need to basically loop from, we need to get the starting row. Let's just have y is going to be equal to 2, and that's our starting row. Made a little comment by putting an apostrophe and writing my comments afterwards. So y is going to be equal to 2 because on sheet 1 you notice row 2 is our starting row. So that's why y equals 2, and it's going to increase as the macro goes on. Now our for next loop is going to be x is going to be equal to, it's going to start with 2, right? So it's going to start with be 2 all the way to, I'm not going to say 17, I'm going to say S2LR, because that is going to be 17 in this instance, but if it was, you know, maybe the last row was different. So we have a dynamic with this variable that we caught right here. This is the last row on the sheet 2. It will be 17 right now, but it might not always be, so I'm not going to hard code it. It's going to be 2 all the way to, in this case, 17. And what we're going to do is we need to analyze, really, column 3 to see what the quantity is, and then once we get that quantity, we can loop that many times, copying this to the other sheet. I hope that makes sense. So we're going to say, so we're starting on row 2 in the loop, so we know x is 2, so we can use that for our row. We're going to say sheet 1 dot cells using y, remember that's the starting row of the other sheet, y comma 1. Wait a second, no, I take that back. We're not going to do that yet. What we need to do is we need first how many quantity That's what we need to find out first. So we can find that on our very first thing. It's going to be column 3 of our row X. So we're going to say sht sheet 2 dot cells row X, and column 3 is that's our quantity. That's how many times we're going to loop through this. So we could say for, let's just use z. For z equals 1, 2, whatever the quantity is. Hope that makes sense. So in this case, it's going to loop from 1 to 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's going to take this, copy it, then say 2, copy it, 3, copy it, 4. Boom, next one. 2, so 1, copy it, 2, copy it. And then we'd be about here or so. So let's take a look at how that works. For z is going to be equal to, it's always going to loop from 1 to whatever the quantity is on that particular row. So, and then of course next z, that's our little side loop here, little rabbit trail. That's how many times we need to copy it. So now that we're here, we can go ahead and copy. I'll make my little note. We can go ahead and copy, and not literally, copy and paste, but we can take that information. So now is where we're going to say on sheet 1 in the current row and row 1, we need that to be equal to sheet 2 on row X, column 1. And we're going to kind of continue on this pattern until we get all 3. But that's going to be repeated as many times as is in the quantity. It's going to loop and do it again, and then do it again. So let's see. This is going to be column 2 and column 2 and column 3 from column 3 on the sheet 2. Now the last thing that you don't want to forget is you want to say y is now increased to whatever it currently is plus 1. So if y is row 2, then now it's going to be y plus 1, that would be 3, and so on. So it'll increase. This y will now go to the next one and copy the stuff, and then y equals y plus 1, boom, now it's here, copying more junk here until it gets to the fourth one and copies all this, and then it's ready to move on because it's completed all 4, in this case all 4 of this one, because the first one's a quantity of 4. So now let's see what that accomplishes. That might just do it. So let's go ahead and hit F8 and start going through our macro. So we see that the last row on sheet 2 is in fact 17. That's good. So y equals 2. That's our starting row for, I should have said starting row for sheet 1, but whatever. I knew what I meant. Now x is going to be 2 to 17 in this case, and so we're going to start with row 2. Now we're going to say z, that's our side loop, remember, is going to be however many, we're going to loop however many times the quantity necessitates. So z is equal to 1 until 4. So here now z is 1. Here's the first loop around. We're going to say sheet 1 row 2 column 1 is equal to row 2 column 1 on this one here, and x is going to stay put for now, so it's going to keep concentrating on the current row that we're needing. So let's just take a look here. We're copying column 1, so I hit F8 and it looks like that copied. Let's copy column 2, it's 33 and 5/8, and that copied, and we'll copy the quantity of, now oops, this is always going to be quantity of 1. So then I found that mistake. There's always going to be a quantity 1 because we're divvying it out by however many. So it's always a quantity of 1. Since, unless he wants it to, Scott, I don't know. You can change that back if you want, but, if you're going to have it be 4 divided into individually, you're going to want that to be quantity 1, quantity 1, 1, 1, which does equal 4, but it's divvied out, I guess. Then we can change the formatting easily on the column. Just change the column formatting to accept fractions. Currently it's thinking this should be decimal, but that's not a big deal. Yeah, tentatively it's working, so we'll make this a quantity of 1. Just taking a peek here, that looks right. Now y is currently 2. We want it to be equal to y plus 1, so we're going to go to row 3 on sheet 1. And we're still just going to on our side journey here, so z is going to be 2 now. So it's our second time of 4 to go through this loop. And so boom, boom, boom. Now we're going to go to column or row 4. Let's take a look over here. Now we're on row 4. It's concentrating on row 4 now. So in fact, we can take a peek over here. So boom, boom, boom. And finally, the next z is the final one. Z is going to be 4 now. So boom, boom, boom. And no, there's no more z's. Okay, we're already to 4. So now we can go to the next x. That's our next row right here. So now I go boop, and it'll concentrate on this stuff here is what it'll do. So, and it's going to do this next one 2 times, I imagine. For z equals 1 to 1 to 2. So boom, 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 and boom, boom, boom. And the next one is 4 times. So boom, 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 and boom, boom, boom. Next one is a quantity of 1. So it just does its thing and moves on. Next one is a quantity of 2. So you see what it's doing. So I'm going to hit F5. I'm just going to go ahead and let it run. Do its thing. Boom. It's done. And just like that, we have 4 of them, 2 of them, 4 of them, 1, 2, just like we had in the other one. And then let's see how we can format this as a fraction up to 2 digits there. So let's go ahead and highlight A and B and hit Control 1, and we'll go to fraction up to 2 digits and bada bang. Okay, so that's, I think that answers your question, Scott. Basically, yeah. Let's see that in real speed. Okay, we're gonna make a little button and assign it to our macro here. Let's just go to insert. Let's make a nice little pretty shape here, right here. And I'm going to say click here to Divvy. That's slang for divide. To divvy up by quantity. And Control A to select all. Go to the home rim and bold. Plus plus, center, center, and we'll make it a little prettier. I'll use one of these right here. Something. Yeah, whatever. Boom. Alright, so right click on that, go to assign macro, and we're going to go to this workbook, and we're going to go to loop panels, because that's the one that we designed. So this workbook will be available for download for free using the Dropbox link in the video description. Anyway, let's go ahead and click it. So sheet 1's all but empty. Click the button and done. There is your report, Scott. Hope that helped everybody. I'm saving it right now in the Dropbox. And thanks for watching, and God bless, guys.